I'm Nikki and welcome to the Preppy Possum. Today I'm going to lead you step by step through a painting. All right, let's paint some big blooms in a ginger jar. Let's start out by grabbing like a pretty good sized brush. It's like a number 8. And dry it off, and we'll grab some, kind of like some light pink, some baby pink with even a little bit of like a bubblegum pink, because we'll come back and add some lights and stuff to it. And we're just gonna skip down a little bit, like a little bit above the center of your canvas and a little bit off center to the left, and we're gonna start with like a huge bumpy circle. So you wanna go big, think like cantaloupe size. You want big blooms. And then once you get that first one, then right there to the right of it, let's go ahead and throw like another one, big bloom. And then let's go ahead and like right above that one we started with, let's throw like another huge one. You can even make this one bigger if you wanted to. And then right here through the middle, let's just throw like a few little ones. Let's go ahead and do that. So think like the size of a quarter. So we're just gonna do some little pink circles that are next to each other. They can kind of look smushed for right now. So I would do like at least 4 or so, kind of smushed together. And then we'll go ahead and right above those, we'll throw like another, actually I might make that, another little flower. Might chopped off my little one, but we can add it back. And then this one can be like a little bit different size, just so they're not all the same. And then right here where these two touch on the right hand side, they're just like a bumpy little whoop, like you're going around the right hand side of a grapefruit or something. And then we'll go ahead and skip down here to like the bottom left of that one we started with and throw you like 3, they can be like the size of a ping pong ball or something. Just right there touching each other. And then we'll grab a bunch of that pink and we'll just go ahead and fill them all in. I don't think I cleaned my brushes very good. And for right now, it doesn't matter like which direction or anything, like how you fill them in, because we're gonna come back and do a lot to them. So just kind of grab some and go for it. Have like a first little layer on there, then just go ahead and wipe that one off so you don't have to rinse it out or anything. Just kind of wipe it off, and let's grab like a really light blue. So I'm going to take a little bit of white and pull blue together, and I'm going to skip up from the bottom of the canvas just a smidge, so barely, like ½ an inch, and throw a little line that droops a little bit. That's still a little too blue, so I'm gonna try to grab a little bit more white. And then once you have that, then I'm gonna throw a little line that leans towards like the top left and the top right for at least like accidentally grabbed more blue. That's okay, we'll come back and make it really white later. And then once you have both of those little lines that lean, then we'll just kind of whoop it in. So curve it in a little bit at the top on each side. And then grab a bunch of that paint, so mostly white, just a tiny bit of blue. And we're just gonna fill in, throw a layer in through your whole jar. So that's a good first little layer because we'll come back and brighten it up. Just want to get some paint on there. And then once you have that, just kind of wipe that one off. And you can use that same size brush or a big brush or something. But we're going to skip down here to the bottom and grab like a little bit of like a caramel brown and like a light gray. And we're going to throw our little table that it's sitting on. So you just want to skip up a smidge from the bottom of your vase, your jar vase. I guess they're called ginger jars, but this one kind of looks more vasey to me. And just throw you a little line. And if y'all have one of these ginger jars at home, hang on to them because they're getting more valuable. All right, and don't worry if your table is like a little crooked or something right now because we can come back and straighten it out if we need to be. But then once you have your line, just kind of fill in all below there to get a little layer on your table. And it doesn't matter like which way your brush strokes go because we'll come back and throw another layer if we need to. We're just kind of blocking in our paint right now. Getting a little layer of paint on everything. All right. So we got a layer through our table. So then go ahead and wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. And let's grab a huge brush. So grab like a big brush. So grab like a huge brush, like a number 1. And then we're gonna grab some really light gray. And let's get all the big areas through the background. Just leave a little bit of room up next to your flowers and stuff because we'll come back with a little bit smaller brush to get all the way up next to it. So get like all the big parts. All right, so we got like all the big areas through our background. Then just wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. And let's grab a little bit smaller brush, so like a number 6 or something. And we'll just grab more of that light gray. And now you want to get all the way up next to everything. I'll kind of start with like your flowers in your jar since they're a little bit lighter colored than your table. But just don't leave any white canvas between the flowers in the background. It's kind of hard to see that light gray until it dries. It'll dry a little bit darker than it goes on. But get all the way up next to your flowers, all the way up next to your vase. So don't leave any white showing in between there. And then once you do that, then you can get all the way up next to the table. I just didn't want it to mix in to the background too much, since it's a little bit darker color, like I just did. All right, there we go. And then while you still have that brush, just kind of wipe it off a little and grab some really dark green. And we'll go ahead and throw like a little bit of dark green just in between our little flowers in the middle. And we might even end up like covering up some of this, and you might have more spaces or less spaces than me, just kind of where you have a little bit of white. Throw some dark green. All right, so you got that. So let's wipe that one off and chunk it in the water, and let's let it dry for just a sec. Okay, now let's get our flowers looking a little more like flowers, a little better. Let's start with our jar first, maybe. And let's throw a layer of white in through the jar. So that way it'll be drying a little. And it's fine that you can kind of see the blue through a smidge. But just grab a bunch of white with like a number 6, and we're just gonna throw a whole nother layer through our jar. I would just kind of start in the middle and then work your way out. And we're gonna throw a design on there, or you don't have to throw a design, but this will kind of get our jar good and thickened up. But I would start from the middle and then take it like all the way to the edge with yet another layer. So now that we got like another layer through the vase, and just kind of check your shape, because if you need to go bigger or something, you could go bigger. While we have that light color on my brush, I'm gonna go ahead and throw some lights through the edges of all the flowers. So grab like a little bit of white with the light pink, so you don't have to take the white off of your brush. Just grab some white and light pink together. And now we're gonna do that through our edges. So let's start with all 4 of like these huge flowers first. So we'll start with like that one we started with. And whenever you do this, load your brush with a lot of paint and then just be really light and loosey-goosey. So kind of think like a loose spiral, but just kind of like wiggle and pick your brush up a little bit as you go. And we'll go ahead and do that towards the edges of all of our big ones. And make sure you get some on the very edge. And it's still good to see some of that original color like kind of peeking through. So we got like a little bit of streaks through towards the edges of all of our big ones. And then go ahead and do it like just through the outside edge of this big one, since it's kind of behind those. And then we'll do the same kind of thing through our little ones. Just do like one little wiggle, kind of, because they're a lot smaller. So, and we'll come back and wiggle some other colors in there too. Just like one little wiggle. All right, so we got a little bit of light going on. Then let's go ahead and just kind of wipe that one off. And let's grab some really dark purple. So grab some really dark purple, and we're gonna throw like some really dark purple through the middle of all of our flowers. I'm gonna grab a little bit of dark blue or something with it to make it even darker purple. So just a few little bumps through the middle. And this one will kind of be like over here towards the edge. And then through your little flowers, I would just do like just a tiny little dab. Okay, so we got our dabs in the middle. Then go ahead and kind of wipe that one off just a little. And we'll grab kind of more like magenta kind of colors, so some purple and pink together. So some dark purple, dark pink together. And we're gonna do a little bit of that around all of our centers. And whenever you're doing that, kind of be a little like messy and loose. You want it to touch the middle, but like load your brush with a lot of paint and just barely touch. So think like loosey-goosey. Kind of using the side of your brush. And then we'll do the same thing like through our little ones. You just don't want to do as much. Just do like one little wiggle. And then once you have that, then go ahead and wipe off your extra, just a little. And let's grab kind of like some bubblegum pink and some salmon pink together. So like some flamingo bubblegum pink and salmon pink. And we're just gonna do a little bit of that between our dark and our light. But start with like all your big flowers again first. And just load your brush with a lot of paint, and you're kind of loosey-goosey, a little dashy, so it's not perfect. Think kind of like messy cinnamon roll. So you kind of want it in a spiral, but not perfect. You'll get better at it as you do it. So we'll get like all of these big ones, like full flowers kind of first. And then we'll get this little half one. Just make sure you kind of went into the edge of your dark in a few places. And then we'll throw just a little bit of that around the purple through all of our little ones. All right, so that's a good start to the flowers. So let's go ahead and once we have that, we'll go ahead and wipe off our extra and chunk that one in the water. And let's grab a teeny tiny brush. So like a number 1, and we'll grab some really dark green to start out. And we're gonna throw some greenery that's kind of coming from in between our flowers in a few places. So like up here at the top, just load your brush with a lot of paint and just be real light. And we're gonna do just a few with the dark green because we're gonna come back and do some lighter ones too. But kind of in between where they all come back. And whenever you do this, load your brush with a lot, be real light and even piecey. So you don't wanna go over your lines like more than once because you just want them, you don't want them to get too thick on you. Let's go ahead and throw one over here. And maybe like down here. And then even in between. All right, so now that we have like a few sprigs of greenery and we did them with the dark so far, let's grab some of the lighter greens. It's like a slimy, limey green, like a Kelly green kind of mixed together. And we're gonna throw a few little light pieces of greenery, like everywhere where you did the dark. We're gonna throw some light ones. Just kind of double check, make sure you hit all your little parts with kind of both colors. All right. And then once we have that, let's go ahead and wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. And let's thicken up our table just a little. So you could use like a number 6 or 8 or something. And dry it off and grab some more of that like caramel and light gray together. And let's just throw another layer on our table just to get it thickened up. Once you have that thickened up, go ahead and wipe that one off, chunk it in the water. Let's add a little bit of peachy color to our flowers before we let them dry for a sec. So grab like a number 6 again and grab a little bit of like a peach kind of color, and we'll just add that to just a few of them. So maybe like the top left, throw a little peach near the center. We can always come back and tweak it if it got too heavy, or these two on the right hand side, maybe throw, so just kind of right there where the purple touches the pink. And then we'll go ahead and wipe that one off, and we're gonna let it dry for just a second. Now let's go back, since our flowers are a little bit more dry, hopefully. We'll grab a number 6 again and dry it off, and grab some more of the white and light pink, and we're gonna kind of brighten up our edges just a little bit. So you want to do a little bit less this time because you still kind of want to see all the colors popping through. But just like we did before, like load your brush with a lot of paint and then just be real light and loosey-goosey. And we'll do it like through all of the edges of our big flowers. So like these big 4 first to get those edges a little bit lighter. And then once you have some through the edges of all those, and then you did that little half one, then throw just a little bit more light on the edge of your little flowers. And then go ahead and wipe that one off. Chunk it in the water, and let's grab like a little bit smaller, so like a number 4, and dry it off. And we're gonna grab kind of like a salmon-y pink. You can grab some salmon with some light pink. And we're gonna skip to all the places we had greenery, and we're gonna throw just a few little dashes. And whenever you do this, like have like more towards the very edge of them, but you can have a few that come in. So it's like little buds. I'm gonna grab even more light pink just in case it doesn't get too dark. But you just wanna do little dashes. And you don't have to worry about it hitting like directly on a piece of greenery, just kinda, you know, right there. You're just giving the impression. You don't want it to be too perfect. So we're still using like the salmon and the really light pink, and then we're just adding those little buds. I'm gonna go back up here and add a little bit light since those got a little dark. All right, I think we got our buds looking a little bit better. So let's go ahead and wipe that one off, chunk it in the water. And let's maybe grab a number 6 again, and let's hit a few things on our flowers before we go to design our jar. So grab a number 6 and dry it off. And let's start by grabbing some more of that like dark purple and just add just a little dab back through the middle. So not quite as much as we did in the beginning. I guess I'll hit these little ones too. And then let's go ahead and grab some more of that like magenta kind of, so like a dark, like a pinky purple. And we'll throw just a few more little wiggles of that off of the center. Not quite as many as we did to start with, just because it looks kind of good to see all your colors. And then we'll do the same thing with our little ones. Add you just a little bit. And then go ahead and wipe that one off. And I might even rinse it out just a tad. And I'm gonna grab some more, so still number 6. And I'm gonna grab some more of the like flamingo pink and the salmon-y pink kind of color. And we're gonna do like a few little wiggles, kind of right in between our dark and our outside. Just a few. At least on all your big ones. And then I think our little ones look pretty good. So let's go ahead and wipe that one off, chunk it in the water. And now we're gonna design our jar. And for your jar, you can do like any kind of design, like, you know, stripes, whatever. But I'm gonna do like a ginger jar, so like an oriental kind of jar like a lot of people collect. So I'll probably, like, you could use like a number 1 or number 4. I'm gonna use a number 4 for right now. And I'm gonna start with some navy blue and turquoise kind of. And I might throw like a little line towards the bottom that just kind of parallels the bottom, has that same little droop. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add like my funky little flowers. So I'm gonna start, like, I'm not gonna make these too perfect because in real life they're probably hand painted too. So I'll just kind of add some little blobs of that navy and turquoise in a few places to get me started out. Bit over here. So we kind of have this start. Let's put a little bit more dark in there because I feel like I kind of got it lost. All right, so we got our little blobs, kind of, so to speak, on there. So now we'll still use the dark and add like some little swirls. I'm gonna add some little like greenery kind of with blue little pieces, little flowers on the ends. And you don't want this to be like too perfect, so just kind of whimsical. But if you Google like ginger jars, you can look at like all the patterns and stuff and do something different if you want something different. So I'm just kind of throwing the little pieces of greenery and then throwing like a few little accents, like, so a few little marks. And you can use like a number 1 or number 4. Just trying to make sure I get enough little something's kind of everywhere, so I don't have a spot that's too bare. And I'll go ahead and add like a few little dots at the bottom. So I'm going to add some of those with the dark, and then I can even go back and add a little bit with like a lighter blue too. So you can grab like a pool blue or sky blue and add a few little highlights. It's like through our bumpy little flowers, add a little bit of that to the middle. Let's see, probably I should have had a little bit more up here where I had the greenery. So I might add like a little, and then add a few pieces so there's like some design kind of hiding behind there. But I think that's pretty good start. I might add a few little light glares through a couple of the flowers. All right, so we got that pretty good. So let's wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. All right, so then I think it looks pretty good. You can add more white if you want them lighter, but grab like a number 1, so a teeny tiny. And we'll go ahead and sign it. And now we have the blooms in the ginger jar. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Be sure to check us out. We're on Cox Street in Asheboro. And be sure to check out our website, www.thepreppypossum.com.